We are starting yet another live trading session and we're going to look at the markets. I'm not sure we're going to take any kind of positions, maybe some dead in one to farm points even more. But apart from that, we're probably going to stay pretty neutral, looking at the market and what's happening right now. You can see that it's not really optimistic, and the timeline today on crypto Twitter is also not really optimistic. Let me just check that the live is live everywhere, and we can start then. Going over some of the things that happened and basically how the market broke down on 10th of October and whether there's any chance of recovery right now, or should we just expect further bear. So we're going to cover that in this video. As a reminder, this is a trading session where we're trying to trade from $1,000 to $10,000. At the peak we had $3,000 until recent liquidations, and then we started farming points on lighter. We started on hyperliquid, then we moved to lighter and Aster. Right now I moved the funds out of the Aster to lighter, and currently we're sitting with some small positions to farm points. I'm going to cover the logic behind those positions, but apart from that, the portfolio is basically like $90, right? So we can note that for the future. So currently we're sitting at we're going to check that we have like $90 on lighter, no Aster, so altogether we have like the difference, let's say 41 on lighter, and we're going with lighter only. So this is pretty crazy situation right now. We didn't have the point so far. The only thing that happened was that there was a distribution. If you go to leaderboard, there was the distribution from last week. This is for the liquidations. Those points are not the points exactly for the season 2, because the first distribution for season 2 will be today, probably later in the day. So we're going to see that, how it goes, and we're going to see how many points we got so far. Those points are only the points for the liquidations that happened on 10th of October. Let me check that everything is working and that we have really everything working on. It seems like on Twitter it's working. I'm going to go with YouTube as well and check that quickly to see that it's really live and working, and then we continue with the show. So I'm checking YouTube right now. Twitter is working fine. Let's see. Yeah, looks like it's live. Yep. So that's working. We can go on. Okay, so having said that, basically we're going to cover some of the things that are happening and then think about the future. Basically, this is what I tweeted before, meaning I'm more on the delta neutral side right now, trying to liquidate my positions and basically seeing what will happen with the market. On my account, I'm mostly farming those 4 exchanges, lighter, extended, Pacifica, variational. Also a little bit of bullpen recently, started doing that with a small volume, and then looking at other exchanges as well. But probably the most volume I'm putting is the first 3 ones. Started putting a little bit more on variational recently. They don't have a points program yet, but what they do is they have refunds, which is pretty cool. This is a novel mechanism. Also, what I wanted to add here is, because I'm going delta neutral mostly on crypto, I want to have more in stocks. Maybe it's the end of the bull market, but who knows for stocks as well. Gold is definitely super high, and this is usually a sign that something is happening, because people are trying to run away from the traditional markets or as an inflation hedge. But usually when gold is so rallying up, something must break at some point. Of course, every scenario is different, but this is what might happen here. And that's why I also want to go into stocks until the end. And the best place for stocks right now is the VEST alpha market. So Vest actually also has points program, and they have around 200 tokenized stocks. This is probably the most when it comes to different stocks, and they have stocks that are very unique that you can't even find on other places, and it's fully non-KYC. You can just trade with your wallet. So this is really cool. I'm going probably to cover that at some point during my normal videos. This is the plan. But in this trading session, I'm mostly going to focus on Lighter. This is, I think, the biggest, where most of the upside currently lies, especially if you want to go after more or less either degenerate trades or do other stuff. Probably we do some degenerate stuff. As I've mentioned, we're probably going to start again the challenge with $1,000. Currently we're sitting at $88, and I'm going to use that for the super probably super long. We're going to bet on the fact that maybe we'll go up in the end, and there's going to be some kind of a reversal, and we're going to bet on Solana. That's the goal here. I'm just going to say to have a look at where we want to have the stop loss. Maybe I'm going to lower a little bit. Yeah, ideally want to probably lower even a little bit more to have it at like maybe let's go with 14. I want to be basically around here. Yep, this should be fine. And yeah, this is the thing that I want to this is the thing that I want to open, basically having this level that if we actually lose this kind of level on Solana or actually any other major coin, then probably it's lights out for a little bit. And the reason for that, so this is the same kind of level here on Ethereum, because if we start losing these levels, then basically it means we're going back to the previous levels, which are closer to like $3,000, $2,000. We're going to cover this week and go below that as well. So that's my rationale as well here. Of course, nothing here is financial advice. Crypto is risky. You can lose all your capital, and definitely do not follow what I'm doing. I'm doing a bunch of degenerate trades in order to get points. Maybe get liquidated in between, because I'm going to get more points for that. That's the rationale. One of the cool things with Lighter is that they really have great UX and also give you zero fees, which means that it's very easy to put on new trades. Definitely recommend it if you haven't tried that yet. Anyway, we're talking about the general market. So this is one of the levels here. Also on Bitcoin, we are currently a little bit down. With Bitcoin, we even went to the previous down week. On 10th of October, what happened was really crazy. It's especially visible on smaller assets. So for example, if you were to go, so Atom on Binance went to basically zero. But even if you look at things like Aptos, those weeks are getting much crazier, right? This is like big drop from like $5 to $1. So this is like 80% within seconds for those smaller assets. So altcoins are definitely destroyed. And the premise here is that they are not coming back because there's not enough appetite for risk. Because if you have weeks like that, then it means that you shouldn't put any leverage at all. Because here, for example, those dips are larger than 50%. So if you have any kind of leverage of like 2x to more, then you were getting liquidated instantly, right? Even though the price is going up, this is basically the liquidation for anything. So this also means that we're probably going to see less bids because people are scared. And also the general premise is that we're having this massive bubble in stocks. Everyone expects that to burst at some point. Of course, we can be contrarian and say that this has to go for longer, but no bubble goes on forever, and there will be some point in time, maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe more later, that this bubble will burst. So the momentum with stocks will slow down, then fade, and we're going to see downturn. What will happen with crypto is probably go even more down, because so far it seems that when stocks are going down, crypto is going down for sure. When stocks are going up, then crypto sometimes goes up, sometimes goes down. And even though right now we have this crazy action of gold, we can probably see gold here actually on the SPAX G. You can see the crazy week that happened. Also, you have this crazy week upside. So if you actually, probably too many people shorted gold here, and you again, this is the kind of the week that if you start shorting with any kind of like larger leverage, you get liquidated instantly. So anything over, I think, like 3x here would get you liquidated. And even though, this might be the top on gold, maybe not, I would assume I'm probably in between. I have mixed feelings. On CT, you'll see many of those kind of people talking about, like you have those people queuing to buy physical gold, then the top must be in. But to be honest, like you have those popular opinions, and at some point, some of those opinions are actually working, and you can make money betting on popular opinions. And gold is one of those. The most stable asset in a way. Unless we start mining asteroids for gold, the price won't really plummet. There's like no usual world where, for example, the price will half from here, unless something super crazy would happen, like we have the new asteroid coming to Earth and we suddenly getting double the supply. But except for that kind of scenarios, I think gold is fine. And what you can look at is some of the stocks. You don't have stocks really on Lighter. We can look at some of the tokenized stocks later on. But what's really happening is that you have this uptrend for stocks, and people are looking at that, saying that okay, the top must be in at some point, and then when the top will be in for stocks, then what will happen to crypto is, of course, it will go down even more. This is what was happening historically, so you shouldn't expect anything. It will be super strange if, for example, for some reason crypto starts going up when stocks will come down. And the reason for that is right now crypto is in the mainstream. Everyone knows about crypto, so it's not like the inflation hedge. People treat crypto more as a more risk on assets. So if you missed stocks, you should be betting on crypto because maybe that's where you can get a higher multiple of the return. That was the premise actually going into, for example, 2020, 2021. This wasn't the case in the past bull market, because even though Bitcoin did pretty well, going from like I think to $20,000 to 120, doing 6x. Apart from Bitcoin, maybe Solana, which went from $8 to like 200, 300 almost dollars. Things like, for example, Ethereum reached all-time high by basically more like 5%, not even so. It was the all-time high of like 4,900 maybe. There was a new all-time high this year, but that was like really, if you look at it, that wasn't really super crazy, right? I don't think, do we see that? Yeah. It was close to $5,000, 4,960. That was the all-time high. And that was it. We never touched 5,000. It was a little bit to the right. It was chopping around, and right now we have this action down. So if you start looking at this from the perspective of like macro of like the max or maybe even 1 year, you see that we had this crazy price action going from December to April. This was all down, going down. Maybe we're going to have a very similar action. This is something that I wanted to compare. As you remember, back then, all this price action from October to December was super optimistic because Trump was elected. People were expecting that Trump being elected means that the markets are going to do well, and they did well, in fact, until probably around like the beginning of January. Then the entire thing with a tariff started. People started to the risk, and the peak fear was around April when you had those tariffs. And this is something that people didn't expect. You had this lowering price action for a couple of months. If people, of course, made money this year because if you started buying around this peak fear, then you were good within a couple of months. Those prices still for Ethereum are pretty high. I'm definitely not buying it here. I love Ethereum. I think this is one of the best assets, programmable money, so on and so on. But those are not the prices that I want to commit at the moment because it's super risky. And if we're going to have more tariffs, if we're going to have more volatility, if stocks start to go down, then we're probably going to revisit those prices. So this is the premise for what I'm looking at macro. In the short period of time, this probably means that I'll be more on the short side, also in the streaming challenge, but also farming some of those exchanges from the list here. I'm going to do delta farming with, opening some longs in one place, opening shorts in other place, so that I have volume on both. And liquidations only give me more points. So far, it doesn't really look optimistic. Already our sell long is, not performing super well. We're going to see what will happen. If we're going to lose this level, I think it's really going much lower. And we probably for Solana, it can be around here at 120, 140. This is the place to revisit. If you were to look at Solana for what had happened in April, I wanted to have a look at that as well. Then we're going to see, it went to 105. That was the peak fear, but 120, 110, that was the levels that probably 120 was the level that you could buy it. And this was a good price. But if you look at max, and also what happened, after FTX, there was really a place where you could buy it at that was the lowest of the low, right? But even if you weren't buy it for the lowest price, you could buy it for like $20 easily for the entire year. And that would be 10 to 15x if you were to hold it until now. So that was the hold from end of 2023 going after entire bull market. So this is what happened. I think I'm 75% for the bear market starting, 25% for the bull market continuing. But even if the bull market continuing, we've been having this run for quite some time. Unless you start counting bull markets differently and say we had the one bull market that ended in January 2025, that was going here. Then we had a super short bear market here going for half a year, and then we have another one. This is another way of counting, and maybe this is true, but if we have shorter bear markets, we'll have shorter bull markets as well. And I'm definitely more on the bear market side as well. So going forward, I think one of the things that I'm doing is definitely delta neutral positions. So I want to long on one exchange, short on the other exchange, the same asset for the same price. Also having other positions, which is more on the trading side, even having one exchange, but then trading correlated assets, like having longing Ethereum, shorting Solana with proper weights. Weights meaning here that I'm not doing that one-to-one, but probably there's more volatility on Solana, so I'm probably going to do 40% Solana, 60% Ethereum or something like that. This can be calculated if you look for Z-score. If you are interested in a more algorithmic approach, then check out Z-score, and generally speaking, this kind of trading with Z-score, you'll be able to get and figure out some weights. Basically, ChatGPT can do that for you if you are bad with mathematics. But even if you're good with mathematics, ChatGPT can help you out with that. So Z-score is one of the ways to determine the weights or what kind of correlation you want to have with the assets. And this is working pretty well if you want to hold positions for a couple of hours, say, to get the points and then close it and then try to reopen that. You can even do that manually. So I wanted to mention that. Also, what I wanted to show you is Lori's tools here. I think I did it last time, but this is one of the things that's worth reminding you. This is the place where you can find different arbitrages between exchanges. Right? Let me deselect all and say we want to only go, say, after extended and lighter here. And then you're going to see all the possible arbitrages. So in this case, if you buy MON on extended and sell lighter, you're actually getting paid by holding the position. So this is part of the interesting stuff because every asset here, if you do it on perps, have funding. If it's negative, then shorts pay long. So if you're holding a long, you're getting paid. If it's positive, I'm not sure anything is positive here, right? No, Ethereum is positive. So if you're holding Ethereum as a long, you have to pay. If you're shorting it, you're getting paid. So it's something to remember because this kind of funding, first of all, depending on the exchange, it can renew every hour, every 4 hours, every 8 hours. But also it differs from an exchange to an exchange. And one of the great strategies of delta neutral farming is that you open the same position for the same assets, say for example Ethereum, but you pick the exchanges and pick the direction based on the funding rates. And Loris.tools give you those, give you basically automatically what you can do. very easily, right? You can see what assets, where to buy. You don't have to think at all. Of course, you have to monitor those things because those funding rates change dynamically, so you have to mind them. Also, there are fees involved. No fees on lighter, so that's a good one, but you have fees on, for example, extended, so you have to remember those. So this is another kind of delta neutral positioning that will make you money in any market, because right now we're still in a place where we're more to the down, but no one knows what will happen. Okay, revisiting other things, we probably can go after Dej and Pink. This is one of the main people that predicted that we might have a breakdown on 10th, but a lot of people, well, me included, thought that okay, we're going to have this breakdown and then it's going to go up. And also he tweeted like where is it, probably before this is the main tweet. 1010 beat, 1105 sell, which means that you should buy coins on 10th of October and then sell them on the 5th of November. So of course the whole premise is that he doesn't know, but he's a pretty good astrologist. He's pretty good at predicting and can sometimes make really good predictions. Yep. So the thing here is that usually, well, it was super close to actually being true, because if you look at this week, then we were at 4,700, started falling a little bit, then we had this massive fall on Friday, 10th of October, with the crazy week, all the leverage liquidated, and then we started to getting a little bit of the V reversal, right? So people were happy here, talking about how this Dej and Pink prophecy would come true and how high we're going to go, and then bam, we're going to revisit some of the lows here over the past 3-4 days. So right now no one knows. We can still go up, we can still go down. It can go definitely both directions here. We can go this way, we can go this way. Altogether, it definitely doesn't look like this is the first inning of the bull market. It more looks like the final innings, and so you have to be careful, more on the saving side of capital rather than doing crazy bets, unless you go more with the downside. I'm not sure we're going to revisit new highs for Ethereum, for example, this cycle. 5,000 seems pretty far away, but who knows? Like again, I definitely don't know. And right now I'm more trading on what we're saying. Maybe looking at whatever happens this week, next week. It's good to have these trading sessions to revisit the market and see what's really happening. So we're going to have a nice also. This Lori's tools. Where was it? Yeah, I wanted to look also at the Hyper Tracker. Hyper Tracker is this tool I use for looking at different hyperliquid positions. Pretty good one, especially that you can have those cohorts from people being giga-wrecked. So giga-wrecked people meaning over minus $1 million in a loss, so $1 million loss. And this already shows that most in this bracket are super bullish, which is not a great indicator, right? Because you probably should look at what people that are making money, so are more in the making money category are looking at, and those are like two entirely separate. Basically, the one category is giving money to the next one, and money printer category, people with over $1 million in PNL are super bearish, and the cohort of people being giga-wrecked is super bullish. So you choose yourself who to trust. I mean, we can get some kind of reversal, right? So all those giga-wrecked people are right now longing everything. And all the people that made money recently are still shorting. So myself, I'm betting more on the money printers here. Also, the cool thing here is you can just look at cohorts by size. So looking at Leviathans, people with at least $5 million. So some of them are making money, some of them are losing, but most of them are bearish. Some of them are slightly bearish, some of them are super bearish, and here you can see that they are mostly on the short side still. So you can even see what they're doing. Also, looking at the icon, you can see that some of them are giga-wrecked. So, for example, this guy, he's a Leviathan, still having equity. Well, he's almost $30 million, right? You can see his P&L though, it's negative. He was positive for some time, right? And then he started going negative. Right now he's holding a long position on Bitcoin and Ethereum from 105 and from 108 and 4,000. So this is one of the whales here. On the other hand, we have those guys here that more on the bearish side. And this guy is basically making money overall. I think I saw him before. I'm not sure if he's a real person or a bot, but you can see that he has a basket of shorts, and from majors like ETH, BTC, Hype, Sol. He's also shorting Aster, XPL, so recent coins, Pump, also super recent, Sui, Fartcoin, Inch, Doge. And that was like a super short, right? Because he made on the short quite a lot of money. Well, the only thing is that it seems like he entered the short on Ethereum pretty early on. So he's been shorting that for quite some time, actually. It's $500 million in total. So you can see this position here, right? It's a $500 million notional position with probably like the leverage being that's the 2.5 leverage on the entire portfolio, because he has on $250 million. But as you can see, he's really holding for a longer time this Ethereum position, and it's really cool to see something here. There's like another guy that's doing that already, that I saw that. He's been shorting for so long that actually he has like a lot in funding. And even though he must have held, we can probably see that as well. He held it for like super lows, right? Because back then, so 14th August, that's the peak, well, the lowest. This is not the peak, but this is the inverse peak. So this is the biggest bottom of his portfolio, like when he was like minus $60 million. If we look at the price of what was happening, that was probably the all-time high for Ethereum. So if we look at 14th August, yeah, that's probably, this is this price here. So he started, so this is like one of the peaks for Ethereum. And he was super low back then, but he really held it all through then, and he must have been holding this position since here when he entered, right? We can probably check that. He probably entered around like 7th May. Let me check the price. 7th May, 1 year. What's the? No, he must probably later on, or was it? $15th, maybe he closed something in between, because for that price, so he has like 3,444. The price was probably started shorting. Yeah, he must have started shorting that around here, right? This was the last moment when ETH was at the price of like $3,400. And the crazy thing is, even though we had this bullish euphoria, he was holding all this position. Of course, he might have a hedge somewhere else, so he might be long on the other account, who knows. But the cool thing here is that he made money with all this funding, and if he will hold this position longer, then actually he might have more in the funding than in P&L from the position. So this shows you already something that's pretty interesting. He uses cross margin across everything, which might be a smart thing when it comes to shorts. not necessarily when it comes to longs, it seems, especially after a recent week, because if you have cross margin with longs, that probably you get liquidated for everything here. Well, depending of course on your positions, but yeah. So this is one of the, this is actually pretty cool to see, and this may be something worth copying. I'm just thinking like whether I want to farm this way, because I could probably have like this kind of short hold for longer, where you have a basket of shorts, especially those shorts are correlated, right? If you have especially if BTC hype, then, or maybe if BTC Sol hype is a little bit uncorrelated, but maybe at this price it is correlated, who knows. Anyway, you're getting quite a lot of money in funding if you still keep shorting, especially over a longer period of time. Of course, you have to be smart about it and make sure that you have enough collateral in your margin account, but apart from that, it should be fine. And this is definitely something tempting. I'm probably going to keep that open and revisit that later on. Let me go with, let me just copy that. I just want to go, I'll open that in another tab and then come back to it. This is actually pretty cool, and I'm going to think more about it. Of course, he's got the biggest position right now on Hyperliquid, but there are many people with smaller positions, and you can see also the exposure. So for example, this guy here has almost 10x leverage, 9x leverage on the whole account. On the bearish side, perhaps you can see that he's mostly holding BTC, and it seems like he's been holding that also for quite some time, because in this case, this is the case that I was mentioning with the other guy. He actually has, I'm not sure you can see that. Let me check that. He actually has more in funding than in PNL. So he has $8 million in funding earned because he's on the short side, and longs are paying shorts, especially in the bull market. And then his PNL is $6 million. So this is another kind of a cool thing. Here's some open orders, limit orders, I guess, for, yeah, so this is his longing position. So he's basically longing at $97,000, 98. Some transfers, I guess, referrals, holdings, yeah. He's holding something. Yeah, so that's pretty cool to see. Yeah, I like watching what people are longing and selling, because it's usually you can take some lessons from that, and it's worth having a look. Because even if it's bear market, there's always options to make money. In a bear market, usually you have less options because there's less liquidity. But first of all, you still have some kind of runners, new products coming along the way. For example, it's still not the end for airdrops, because it's actually only starting. Mega if is coming. If you didn't see that, where was it? If you didn't see that, then somewhere here you can probably yeah, this is the Mega if announcement. Mega if is coming, and actually you can register for the token. If you haven't seen that, check it out. First real-time blockchain. They're really going after real-time partnership with Chainlink. This is going to be huge. They're going to do an ICO. You can register for that. You have to KYC. If you have an account on Echo, for example, by Kobe, you can do that quickly. I think they're going with Echo platform through the module called Sonar, and they're going to do an ICO there. But they are fully compliant, so you have to go through all the registrations and stuff like that. But probably it will be worth it. Of course, who knows? That might be a bear market when they launched, but I think they're doing that pretty soon, and then this is probably going to be another big project that's coming to the market, and of course there's a lot of controversy about that. Is Monad, because Monad is actually been waited for a long time. It seems that they're going to launch in 2025, and there's going to be an airdrop. You can also verify for the airdrop. Let me check that. The airdrop claim is open until November 3rd. You need to claim to receive an airdrop. Basically, you just go to the portal, as you can see here.
Sign in with a wallet to enter the portal. This is the claim portal. In the top right, you can see that your claim wallet has been set to the wallet you used to sign in. You can change this wallet at any time.
On the left side, you can connect your wallets and socials to check eligibility.
Once you've connected all your accounts, you can share your claim strength on Twitter. You can update your claim wallet at any time, but once allocations are locked on November 3rd, you won't be able to connect new accounts or change your claim wallet. When Monad Mainnet launches, your allocations will automatically be airdropped to your claim wallet. No further action required.
If you'd like to participate, Early Reveal goes live in 2 weeks on October 28th. It is purely optional and does not affect your airdrop allocation.
The claim portal closes on November 3rd, so make sure you tell your friends to check their eligibility now.
So you won't have to claim on the day they go live, but you have to register your wallet before November 3rd. So if you haven't done that, please do it now, because basically they're giving money to a lot of communities. For example, if you trade it on Hyperliquid, Lighter, if you use DeFi protocols like Morpho, Aave, Pendle, and a couple of others, then basically you should be eligible. Also, if you hold NFTs, like I think like most of the main ones, so like CryptoPunks, I'm not sure Bored Apes, but like Pudgy Penguins, Hyper NFTs from Hype, and a couple of others, then you should be eligible as well. There are different places here. Altogether, there are like 200,000 wallets that are eligible, which is cool. The controversy here is that they didn't reward the testnet community, but that's understandable to some extent. It's so farmed right now and so easy to set up your own bot to have transactions on the testnet. It doesn't cost you anything because it's a testnet, that it doesn't make sense anymore to reward people just using testnet. And they did that. So Monad is coming. There's a bunch of other airdrops coming along the way. I think that was maybe I will find somewhere the tweet,
airdrop?
but basically there's this tweet of Monad, Mega Eve, OpenSea. There's like so many different airdrops coming along the way. Can I? Yeah, this is like one of those lists of like, you know, you have all different wallets like MetaMask, Rabi coming along the way. Base will probably have its own token. You have OpenSea, you have things like Hyperunit, all the different exchanges that I've mentioned. So if you're looking after that as well, there are the lighter extended Bullpen Pacifica variation on Ajax, Vest, Austin Paradex, and actually more. This is not everything. There's really a lot of options. So you can also farm those kind of airdrops just being delta neutral, meaning you don't have to take a position in order to do it. You can just you can just, you know, open long on Lighter, short on Extended, just as I've shown you with Lori's tools. You can try to do long Ethereum, short Solana on Lighter. Maybe this is something which we'll try to do next with the challenge, in order to make money, but also not to lose too much. So we probably have, you know, this kind of hedges with correlated coins. This might be a good strategy if we keep on going down, with having a hedge also to the upside. For now, with the last bits of the capital, we're just basically betting on, we're seeing whether we're going to have any kind of upside here. If not, we're going to lose the last bit of capital. Also, I wanted to explain this last positions because why I have Easy and VVV. Basically, most of the exchanges actually give you money, well, give you points, not money. Give you points for longing or shorting assets that that have really low open interest, and this is understandable because they want to, you know, have bigger coverage of assets, more liquidity for smaller assets, the better, because you have lower spreads and so on. And that's why I usually have also positions for things like which have like the lowest open interest, so things like Toshi, AI16Z, Easy, GMX, and stuff like that. So small positions usually hold for longer. This is basically the premise here, and this is basically how I farm those coins. If you want to have more remarks on how to farm, definitely go to the website cryptoexchange.sh. The link should be somewhere in the comments later on. This is the calculator that I built for different exchanges, and also you can see couple of advice on how to maximize your points. Trading niche assets is one of those strategies. This is basically what I've explained right now. So focusing on assets that have low volume or low interest, open interest. This is one of the coolest things that you can do in order to get points. So I think this is basically it. We are maybe we're going to go after a little bit of Twitter scroll, see whether anything interesting is happening. Mega-if. So Mega-if is definitely super bullish. One Monad, I'm also bullish. A couple of new projects coming to the market. Lighter. Yeah, there's this new, actually lighter analytics. So this is a new thing. Really cool looking, very clean. You can see everything that's happening with TVL on the market, seeing that, you know, you still have over $1 billion TVL on lighter, but also you have a leaderboard. So it's similar to what I showed you with CoinMarketCap. You have people that are winning and losing when it comes to the balance hold on lighter. This is of course much smaller than Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is still leading the way when it comes to scale. But lighter, as it comes out of the beta, is going to get only more and more share, at least for now. So it's going to be pretty cool. So they also seems to have like points calculator. That's pretty cool. But the fact that, you know, they have everything here, I think it's pretty cool for lighter. I'm going to probably revisit that in a separate video as well. But you can also look what people are doing here on lighter. So that's cool. Let me go next with other stuff. Yeah, Awawat's saying basically the same thing I said. If we go below the 10 weeks, it's over. So those weeks are, you know, this level here. So for Ethereum, it's $3,400. And if we go below that, then basically it means lights out and we're going down. More Mega-if. More management of the situation. Wrong user is actually saying some of the things that I'm doing right now. So you don't have to be all in. There's different ways to make money in crypto, and basically one of those ways farming cheap points being on exchanges. The one that I've mentioned, you can find, you know, smaller exchanges. Of course, this is more risky because you don't know where they're going to ICO, what's going to be the valuation. But usually, if you're early enough, like if you were to be early enough for lighter, you could really get easily points, especially in the beginning. Also putting money in some of the ICOs. That's also a very good lesson, because if you were to invest them, you know, through Legion or Echo or like other of those platforms, then basically this money is locked. It doesn't mean, of course, it won't go to zero. It very well can. But at least you will have the discipline. It will be, well, you'll be disciplined. It will be disciplined for you to hold this in those ICOs, and you can just put like smaller amounts of money, because I think that the lowest you can go with Echo, I think, is something like $100 maybe, depending of course on the group, on the deal, and so on. But it can start pretty low. Same for Legion, I think. Maybe it's even lower. Also, Kaito has the right now the launchpad that they do, and I think the lowest there, it's probably anything. So there's definitely a lot of things that you can do. But also, so worth mentioning is probably Polymarket. If you're of course in a location that's available, Polymarket might do at some point a token. Hyperunit is probably the most hyped up project on Hyperliquid. It's mostly about holding spot on Hyperliquid. If you have Hyperliquid and you try to, for example, hold USDT, USDE on Hyperliquid, you should be eligible to some extent. And then there are different perps you can use. He's also mentioning Ostium Vest, Aster. I'm going to definitely revisit Vest in one of the videos, because they really changed a lot, and the entirely new exchange with over 200 tokenized stocks. So that's really cool, and that's very, very unique. Very similar to Ostium to some extent also. So yeah. Clicking buttons always work. Like, it's a longer term game, especially if you don't want to make money. Well, if you want to make money tomorrow, but if you can wait until like the next year, then you'll be definitely fine. Different farms. Route to Fight, talking about the real alt season. This is true, but this is when you think about alt season, like every alt is basically going up, then we won't have any kind of real alt season anytime soon, because the reason for that is that there's too many coins, too many narratives. Those markets are to some extent, not everything is correlated, because you have from AI to RWA protocols, meme coins, and so on. There's so many different narratives, so many different projects, that it's really hard to have everything going up. Yeah, XPL. Actually didn't check the last price. Oh, it's still down quite a lot. Yeah, actually the battle is right now as we speak, because as you can see, most of the candle, like most of those assets are revisiting these lower candles here after 10th. And if we go down, or if we go basically below these candles, then it's going to be game over in a shorter period of time. This is like definitely a bear market territory. So we're going to see what will happen in the end. Yeah, that's a good reminder from Taiki. Be careful of rags and people asking you for money. Right now it's super hard, so there might be more and more scams along the way. Yeah, also Meteora is coming. That's pretty big. I didn't farm that in any way, so I have no airdrop, I guess. But if you've been farming Meteora, so providing liquidity, then this might be a good airdrop for you as well. This is also pretty cool about uh, getting getting money from X. I think this will be more and more popular, even though I don't like Kaito Yappers because that really made so many AI slop bots live, because the money there is real. And if you can run a bot that basically tweets about the AI, the Kaito projects, then you can make money from that. Even if it's not much, then it can really scale with the number of agents you have. I guess this is a proper business right now, but it's less fun to interact with people on Twitter because you have so many bots. But what Didi is saying here is right. If you try building your account, this is one of the uh, best things you can do, especially for the next bull market, because you start getting like different offers. You different projects will just approach you, and you can discover things earlier. It definitely helped me find new projects that I wanted to invest in, because some people just message me about what they find cool. So that was really, this is like no brainer, I think. So if you just provide information of what's happening. Also here this disappeared, but strategy of Didi is really cool, because he does like one tweet per day, always something cool. But this is only one tweet. You don't have to be a reply guy. You don't have to do anything crazy. He does really one tweet per day. That's it. So I think this is really cool. Maybe he replies, but his main tweet is just one tweet per day. But he also always tweets, and there's always some cool information in it. Right now, what you can read basically from CT is you have both camps, meaning one camp saying mostly that we're going to go up, this is definitely the bottom, and the other camp is saying much lower. And I don't know, but I'm staying more on the sidelines. As I told you before, I'm basically trying to move more and more into stables. I don't want to hold risky assets right now, because the upside from my perspective is probabilistically much lower. There's more chance of going lower than going higher, because this is definitely not the peak of the bull market. Edge, okay. Yeah. Yeah, just buying Solana. I mean, if you're holding for longer, probably those are good prices as well. I'm more on of the ETH guy than Solana, but for both, I probably will wait for lower if I were to rebuy. Especially thinking about how it was in April and how low it can go. This is not the price I want to hold, because I don't want to give away more like 60% still, because we are 66-70% away from this like $1,500. This is not the price that I want to revisit while holding spot ETH. But definitely, if we get those prices, then this is something that I'd be happy to rebuy. Yeah, this you have also some guys are bullish, for example, but yeah, You can find anything on Twitter. So you can find, if you have the bias towards bullish, you can confirm your bias here that we're going to $200,000. If you're on the bearish side, you can definitely find your bias. People selling everything, and basically saying they are out. Yeah, I see these arguments for the catch up of BTC to gold, but I'm not sure it holds. Those are two different assets, and gold is still gold. Bitcoin is cool. I love Bitcoin, but it's nothing compared to gold to a certain extent. And also, it's still too early, too risky. I guess once we have, I don't know, like a decade more into Bitcoin, then it's going to be more stable, probably. But we're going to see. But I don't believe in catching up. Bitcoin doesn't have to catch up. It doesn't have to do anything following gold. Yeah, this is a good argument. Right now, if you're buying something, buy only with conviction, not because you saw someone say that they buy right now because it's the best price. Don't be sidelined. So those are the arguments that, for example, you have people trying to. This kind of they try to FOMO you into buying or selling because you can read both sides. For example, if you're holding Solana because you like it, and you saw the argument that, oh, I just sold all the Solanas because I think Joe McCain, which is one of the bulls for Solana, just sold like $100 million of Solana, then that shouldn't influence your decision to a certain extent, because if you're holding Solana for the long term, this may be a good price. On the other hand, if you see that, for example, someone is buying Solana and they're telling you, okay, this 180 is the bottom, we're going to go much higher, you also shouldn't listen to them. You should have your own reasons for holding, and you should have your own beliefs. Otherwise, whenever you're going to see the market turns against you, whether to the upside or downside, you're going to sell because you don't have any conviction, and you end up with more losses because you won't be able to hold through the downturns. And that's basically the premise here. Also, this might not be the end, because this is a good comparison from CBB that basically we had this Luna crash wiping out $40 billion. Last Friday, something similar happened on the same scale, maybe a little bit lower, but still very similar, very same scale. And we don't even know what's the risk here, whether what funds basically blew up, what happened along the way. And this still might provide the ground for more of the actions to the downwards, because we don't know what really happened, apart from system on Binance didn't work well, stuff related to tariffs, and a couple of macro reasons. But all that together, and there probably are more funds that blew up and that we didn't heard about yet about that, because it's only been 1 week. And we're going to see, for example, if you remember FTX and FreeAC, then I think it lasted like a couple of months for FTX. For FreeAC, I think it was at least a month from Luna crash. So we're going to see what will happen here.
and the news tickers and getting ideas. And it turned out he was, for a while, very, very good. So we put the models aside for a while, and we traded, and we did very well. We did very well, but it was a gut-wrenching experience. You know, it's, one day you walk in and you think you're a genius. Oh, my positions are in my way. Look, and the next day you walk in and they're against you, and you feel you're a dope. How could I have done what I did, and so on. There was no rhyme or reason. It was just, you put your finger in the air and you try to sense which way the wind is blowing. I'll tell you one story to illustrate the craziness. So it was a time when gold was going up. Gold had been you couldn't buy or sell gold, and finally you could, and the price was rising, and it was rising, and we had a deal where Lenny Baum and I, where we'd each have our own account. I was the boss, but we each had our own account, and in our own account, in fact, we both bought gold. We're supposed to be independent. We both liked gold. The gold was going up. It started at $200 and $300 and $400, $500. It got to $500, which by today's standards would be like $1,500 or $1,800. And I said, this is a very high price. I'm getting out. And I sold my half. But Lenny, I think you should. No, you don't know how high this is going to go. You can't. This is going to go very, very high. I said, okay. So he stayed. It was $600. It was $700. It was $800. Got to $800. That day, I happened to be talking to a friend of mine on the phone who was a stockbroker. And in fact, he was my stockbroker. And I said, how are things, Dick? And he said, oh, well, they're fine. This morning, my wife, Lucy, came into my closet and cleaned out all of my old tie clasps and cufflinks and went downtown to sell them. They were gold. They were gold, see? I said, well, you having a hard time in your family? Why is she, so your wife said, oh, he says, she's a jeweler. I said, yes, I know that. So he said, so she only has to stand in the short line. I said, what do you mean, the short line? He says, don't you know that people are lining up and standing for hours selling their gold? I said, no, I didn't know that. Thank you very much. We had a phone in those days. If you picked it up, it was a different phone.
This is actually pretty cool because right now we're in a scenario where people are lining up to buy gold. So it might, if we take Jim Simon's argument, why not? Then, which is one of my heroes when it comes to mathematics and quants, it might be still that the top is still not in for gold. This might mean that people are buying, so we're still going to see much of the price going up because if we have retail coming into the market, then you're not going to see it on perps right away.
You picked it up, you went right to the floor of the commodity exchange. And I got Lenny in the office, and I put the phone up to his ear, and I said, Lenny, sell the gold. In fact, and he said, no. I said, Lenny, I'm the boss. Sell the blankety blank gold. I was more emphatic than that. He said, all right. So he sold the gold. And maybe it was $810. Oh, but he was mad. And the next day, we came in, and it opened at $830. And he said, I told you. By the end of that day, it had dropped 25%. It was down to $600 all in one day, and it never, of course, went back up. So that is an example of common sense and very good luck. Good luck. If I hadn't called my stockbroker the day I did, Lenny would have held on to that gold. It went back to 200 after a while. We would have ridden it all the way down, I think. And so it was just plain luck that I have. But it was at least common sense that I thought if everyone in the world is trying to sell their gold, how long can it be going up? There is such a thing as supply and demand. So there it was. So that was what it was like to be a fundamental trader. It was stomach-wrenching. So
this is really cool. We can probably end on this note. We have the things going. We're going to see whether Solana will touch the line, as we mentioned before, or go down. If it does, then probably it's going to be lights out. We're going to see. This quote from Jim Simons make me want to long gold a little bit. Maybe the trade is actually long gold, short ETH. This might be interesting. I'm going to analyze that. Of course, follow me on YouTube, Twitter to have live action. And we're going to see in the next episode what will happen. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel and see you in the next video.